The United States is scheming. The United States is scheming to open a military base in Zambia, as it has been reported recently in news websites, and even the United States itself, through the American General Peter Bailey, together with the Zambian government, made these announcements, and they put it even on Twitter. They are hiding this military base which they are trying to open in Zambia behind what they are calling an office, the United States Africa Command Office, which is attached to the United States Embassy in Zambia. This is a very regrettable situation, and in fact, even the opposition party in Zambia, which is called the New Heritage Party, has kicked against this development. But more so, this development is very dangerous to the African nation to be, the African continent. The United States already has military bases littered all over the continent. So you would wonder, what is the purpose of this military base? Why does it want to litter a lot of military bases on the continent? It is engaged in South Africa, in Botswana. So since it is already present in South Africa, East Africa, North Africa, where it is conducting a lot of operations and conducting military drills and all that. Camp Lamois in Djibouti, it is present in Ghana, it has been present in Niger for a very long time, in Senegal. So you would say, you would think that this is enough, but to them this is not enough. And this is where it is a threat that the African leaders are not seeing, that the invitation of foreign military bases and the signing of military pacts and other agreements by individual states in Africa, and which agreements and pacts, whether they are military or otherwise, which have an effect on other African countries. I think this has to be stopped. It has to be looked at the level of the African Union, because the wanton signing, the reckless signing of pacts and military bases has been warned on. You know, it is something that has been warned about since the 1960s by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when he was warning us about imperialism. Now imperialism is full-blown on the whole continent. So this is something, as Africans, we have to pay very close attention to. So I would urge the African heads of state to pay close attention to what is going on all over the continent. We are now a small continent. When you look at what technology has done for the past 20 or 30 years, that the world has been made into a global village, which is very small. Okay, it is now a small village, but it is surprising that the African heads of state, to a very large extent, they play negligence, and they have decided to be negligent about the plight of the other Africans on the continent. It is very naive for us to allow imperialism to move, to give imperialism a blank check, of planting military bases all over the continent. This is something that we should resist with all our energy. And as an African, I would call on all other Africans and heads of state that we have to pay very close attention to these developments. I will ask you, why would the United States establish these military bases? We have seen what is going on in Ukraine already, and I have argued in the past in one of the lectures which I gave to the conservatism class, which is the conservatism class, philosophical conservatism, a class which is led by Professor Kwame Agboza. I gave a lecture a few days ago, and in it I was explaining the purpose of the war in Ukraine. In this explanation, I argued that the war in Ukraine is about attacking China, but they have to attack Russia too, first. So in this attack on Russia, they want to defeat Russia and China so that they can take all Africa to themselves. And what is the reason for taking Africa to themselves? It takes us back to what Nkrumah was, mentioning in his, groundbreaking work in the book which he wrote, which is called Africa Must Unite. I would argue all the youth to read that book. Nkrumah argues that the purpose of imperialism, the purpose of colonialism and slavery, the purpose of Europeans coming to the continent was two things. It was to find markets for their goods and to find raw materials for their, industry. So this has not changed. We have seen that in the past decade, Europe has their economies have been contracting. The United States, their economies have been contracting. Because these economies have been contracting, they also have another problem, which is the second problem, that the population has been aging. And this problem of aging population and reduction in population is not only affecting Europe, but it is affecting Russia to a larger extent. And China is also worried about this situation. So the continent of Africa has a very young population. Okay, number one, 70% of the population in Africa is below the age of 35 years, and we have the resources. Now we have one of the highest literacy rates in the world, with more than 70%. So Africa is ready for takeoff. Now what are these guys doing? They are trying to slow down Russia and China from helping Africa in any way, so that Africa can remain a garden for them. And that is why you see that the United States, France, Britain, Denmark, Germany, all these who are colonial oppressors who have been colonial oppressors in the past, they are still present on the continent. You can see the Germans are present in Namibia, they are present, all over, and you see France is everywhere. Okay, it's to the extent that it even sponsors, the African Cup of Nations. So this is very dangerous, that the United States has put bases in Djibouti, it has military bases in Kenya, it has military bases in Niger, it has military bases in Senegal, military bases in Ghana, it has military bases in Uganda. It is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. It should become very unacceptable. So this establishment of another military base just, close to Botswana in Zambia should be rejected with everything that we have. And we should not stop there. We should advocate and fight and petition for the expulsion, for the removal of all military bases on the continent, whether it is the French, whether it is the United States, all military bases, whether it is the Chinese, all military bases on the African continent are a danger to all the African continent. Anywhere on the continent where you find military bases, that military base is a danger to the rest of the African people. It is very dangerous. The United States has been conducting attacks on Somalia, innocent people, killing innocent people with drones, because the United States was defeated in 1993 when it went to Somalia. It was defeated there and it ran out. So it now carries out cowardly tactics of using drones in the air where you cannot see it, and they have been killing a lot of innocent people in everywhere. Afghanistan, Somalia here. So I'm talking about Africa. They have been killing people in Libya, and they call it collateral damage. So if it plays to their interests, they say it is human rights. When they are doing it for their selfish interests, they say they call it collateral damage, as has been happening in Libya. They say it is part of the war. It is collateral damage, and all the other weak countries. So this is where I'm telling and I'm appealing to the other African people that this menace of imperialism, we should not accept it. We stand against the establishment of a military base in Zambia, and we call for the expulsion of all military bases on the African continent. Everywhere where they are, we should advocate for their expulsion. Their decline in economics and population, they want to take advantage of African resources so that they can rebuild their economies. The United States economy has been contracting. If you look at the figures 2020, 2021, even this very year, figures came out that the United States economy contracted 1.4% in the first quarter. In the first quarter of this year, the first quarter of this year ran from January up to March. So when the figures came out, the United States economy has contracted by 1.4. So the economy is reducing, and this is the fear. When you go to Europe and look at the economic figures, their economies since 2020 also are contracting. So they are like wolves and they are parasites. They are looking for where, they are looking for where to suck blood, and they have been sucking blood from Africa for a very long time. So it is time for us to put an end to this. It is time for us to resist imperialist aggression. It is time for us to resist neocolonialism. It is time for us to resist any military incursions on the African continent. The African continent has a very young population. We are very much in a position to protect our own continent because we have the youngest population in the world, and we have a bigger population. So we don't need the United States with 330 million people and an aging population to come and protect Africa. It is not feasible and illogical when you think about it, for a country whose economy is contracting and with aging population to come and protect a country which has a young population. It is illogical and it doesn't make sense at all. So we call for the expulsion of the United States and the Western world, all of them, and their military bases from the African continent. Africa should be free. Africa should have space to develop, and all the puppets that are being used, we've seen in the past what President Hichilema of Zambia has done. He went and pulled out his citizens from Ethiopia, and we have seen him make a lot of moves which are neo-colonial in nature, and he has been controlled from the West. We have seen his gestures that he is free. He doesn't see any problem with being a puppet. He doesn't see any problem with being a puppet in broad daylight when everyone is seeing. He doesn't see any problem with that. So we need to call out these types of leaders, but more so the United States should go back to its country. We call upon its expulsion from the continent of Africa and all its military bases. If it wants to conduct affairs with Africa, technology is there. Let us do it online. We do not need military bases on the continent, and we call upon putting a stop onto the establishment of a military base of Africom, the so-called Africom, the United States Africa Command. There's nothing African about African Command. That is the United States military, and it is a tool for aggression. It is a tool for neocolonialism. It is a tool for colonialism. It is a tool for exploitation. It is a tool for death. The United States military is a tool for death of the weak people of the world, and we should resist this, regardless of all the justifications that have been done, that have been said, the justifications that have been put out there that they should have military bases in Africa. The United States military and its allies and the Western world, they have not produced anything for good. They have only produced death and destruction. You can see the condition of the African people in the United States. Full in the prison, they are being killed every day. So there's nothing good that the United States can bring to Africa. We call upon the expulsion and the cessation of all activities of the United States, and its military bases should be sent back to the United States, should be sent back home. I thank you very much. My name is Kwame Gonza, and subscribe to the channel Africa Reimagined, where we talk strictly, African affairs. Thank you very much.